What would you be willing to die for? Not in theory, not as a hypothetical, but actually. If the choice was real, the threat was real, and the lions were real, what would you refuse to give up? One man answered that question, not with a speech, not with a dramatic gesture. He simply went home, opened his window, and prayed. And that single act of quiet defiance shook an empire to its core. This is the story of Daniel, and it begins with the worst day of his life. In 605 BCE, the armies of Babylon arrived at Jerusalem. Nebuchadnezzar, the most powerful king on earth, did not just conquer cities. He dismantled them from the inside. He took their treasures, destroyed their temples, and did something far more calculated than killing the people he defeated. He took their best young men and made them Babylonian. Daniel was among them, a teenager torn from everything he had ever known: his home, his family, his city, his faith, and marched hundreds of miles to a foreign capital. He was given a foreign name, a foreign education, and a quiet but unmistakable message. The person you were is gone. But something in Daniel refused to disappear. The first test came quickly. The royal food assigned to the young trainees violated Jewish dietary law. A small thing, a practical compromise anyone could have justified. Daniel refused. Politely, intelligently, without drama. He proposed a 10-day test: vegetables and water against the royal menu. 10 days later, he and his companions looked healthier than everyone else. It was a small moment, but it revealed everything about the man Daniel was becoming. Immovable without being reckless, faithful without being foolish. And the real test was still coming. By the end of their training, Daniel and his companions stood before Nebuchadnezzar himself. The king found none equal to them. The captives from Jerusalem entered royal service, and Daniel was just getting started. When Nebuchadnezzar was tormented by a dream so disturbing he could not remember it upon waking, he demanded the impossible from his wise men. "Tell me what I dreamed and what it means." His wise men protested it could not be done. Nebuchadnezzar ordered every wise man in Babylon executed. That sentence included Daniel. Daniel asked for time. He prayed with his companions through the night, and the dream was revealed to him. He stood before the most powerful king on earth and delivered the interpretation with breathtaking clarity, describing the forgotten dream in precise detail, explaining its meaning, and doing so without hesitation. Nebuchadnezzar fell prostrate before him. He promoted Daniel to ruler over the entire province of Babylon. The Jewish captive had become the second most powerful man in the empire. He was still a teenager. Over the following decades, Daniel served under king after king, empire after empire, demonstrating the same extraordinary gift and the same unshakable integrity through every political upheaval and regime change. Kings came and went. Daniel remained. By the time Babylon fell to the Medes and Persians, Daniel was in his 80s. A new king, Darius the Mede, immediately recognized what every king before him had recognized. He elevated Daniel above everyone else and planned to set him over the entire kingdom. That decision lit a fuse. And what happened next would threaten Daniel's life. The other officials watched Daniel's appointment with cold fury. He was a foreigner, a captive, a Jew, about to be placed above all of them. They investigated his entire record, his decisions, his finances, his conduct across decades of service. They found nothing, not a single corrupt act. not one instance of negligence. Daniel was beyond reproach, and they knew it. So they changed their strategy entirely. If they could not find a crime, they would create one. They would use Daniel's own faithfulness as the weapon to destroy him. They went to Darius with a proposal dressed as an honor. Let the king issue a decree. For 30 days, no one in the kingdom could pray to any god or man except Darius himself. Anyone who violated it would be thrown into the lion's den. They presented it as a gesture of royal unity. Darius, flattered and completely unaware of the trap being set for his most trusted official, signed it. Under the laws of the Medes and Persians, a signed royal decree could not be revoked, not even by the king who signed it. The trap was perfect. They did not need to prove Daniel was corrupt. They only needed to prove he prayed. And by morning, Daniel would either be dead or history would change. Daniel heard about the decree. He went home. He went to his room. He opened his window, the window that faced Jerusalem, the city he had been taken from as a teenager, the city he had not seen in over 60 years. And he knelt down and prayed 3 times, giving thanks to God, exactly as he always had. No speech, no protest, no dramatic gesture. He simply continued doing what he had always done, in the same place, with the window open for anyone to see. The most courageous thing Daniel ever did was also the most ordinary. He just refused to stop. The officials were watching. They went immediately to the king. Darius realized in an instant what had happened. He spent the rest of the day searching desperately for a way to rescue the man he trusted above everyone else. He found nothing. As the sun set, the officials returned to remind him. The law was absolute. Daniel must be thrown to the lions. Darius gave the order. But as Daniel was brought to the edge of the den, the king looked at him and spoke words that have echoed through history.
May your God, whom you serve continually, rescue you.
Daniel was lowered into the den. A stone was placed over the mouth. The king sealed it with his own signet ring. And then Darius went back to his palace, the most powerful man in the world, completely powerless to help the one man he most wanted to save. He could not eat. He refused all entertainment. He could not sleep. He lay awake through the entire night, alone with what he had done. Inside the den, in the darkness, surrounded by lions, Daniel was alone. The stone above him, the cold of the rock beneath him, the sound of movement in the dark, the smell of the den, the weight of a night that had no guaranteed morning. The Bible does not describe what Daniel felt or did through those hours. It simply records the outcome and leaves the night itself in silence. And that silence speaks for itself. A man in darkness, surrounded by everything that should have killed him, waiting for a morning he had no promise he would see. At the first light of dawn, Darius rose and ran to the lion's den. He came as close as he could and called out into the darkness, "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to rescue you from the lions?" Silence. The silence of a sealed stone. The silence of a night that had swallowed a man whole. And then a voice came from inside the den.
May the king live forever. My God sent his angel, and he shut the mouths of the lions. They have not hurt me, because I was found innocent in his sight. nor have I ever done any wrong before you, your majesty."
Darius was overwhelmed. Daniel was lifted out of the den, not a single wound on his body. The officials who had conspired against him were thrown into the same den. The lions overpowered them before they reached the floor. Darius then sent a decree to every nation, every people, every language in the known world. What this pagan king wrote about the God of a Jewish captive has survived for 2,500 years. He wrote that in every part of his kingdom, people must fear and reverence the God of Daniel, the living God, who endures forever, who rescues and saves, who performs signs and wonders, who had rescued Daniel from the power of the lions. The man they could not break had outlasted another empire. Daniel lived through the reigns of Nebuchadnezzar, Belshazzar, Darius, and Cyrus. He outlasted every king who tried to use him, every official who tried to destroy him, every empire that thought it could remake him in its own image. He died an old man in a foreign country, having never returned to the Jerusalem he prayed toward every single day. And yet, his story has been told for 2,500 years, while the empires that tried to break him are dust. What made Daniel extraordinary was not that he avoided suffering. He spent his entire life as a captive. What remained intact through everything, through the loss of his home, his name, his people, his freedom, was a sense of who he was that no empire, no decree, no lion's den could reach. Most of us will never face a literal lion's den, but every one of us will face a moment where staying true to who we are costs us something real. Where the easier path is to close the window, eat the food, sign the decree, and tell ourselves it is just this once. Daniel's answer to that moment was not dramatic. He simply went home, opened his window, and did what he had always done. What is your open window? The thing you know you should keep doing even when it costs you? Share it in the comments below. I read every single one. If Daniel's story moved you today, please like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear it right now. Subscribe for more stories that have shaped our world and hit the bell so you never miss one. Thanks for watching.